Hi there, it's Jay Asukwo. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and we are still in the blockchain series, and I really hope you are enjoying it. And thank you for the messages and the encouragement. It means a lot to me. So far we have explained what a blockchain is, and then we have connected to a blockchain, and then we have we have seen transactions. We have explored what a transaction is. We have used Go-Ethereum with Golang to explore what transactions are, and then we have also talked about Ethereum accounts, the different types of Ethereum accounts, and then we have explained what a nonce is and explained what the term gas is when it comes to sending crypto, right? So for today's video, it's before we start to send crypto, right? We need to understand Ethereum wallets and private keys, because these are really important concepts if you need to send out crypto, right? So what we're going to learn today, we're going to look at what is an Ethereum wallet, private keys, public keys, Ethereum addresses, and how they are related, how Go derive these wallet addresses, right? We'll still go back into code to check it for you to check it out. And then I will try to, I know some of us might be familiar with Binance and maybe MetaMask wallet. So I'm going to try and explain how those work in terms of blockchain wallets and where they belong, right? And then we might just create, for those that are not familiar with maybe MetaMask. We are going to create our MetaMask wallet and then play around with it, right? All right. So yeah, I hope you're excited. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Yeah. So the question is, what is an Ethereum wallet? What is an Ethereum wallet? So most people think, like I said, I mentioned MetaMask, I mentioned Binance. So most people will be thinking, MetaMask is my wallet. No, not exactly. MetaMask is not your wallet. MetaMask is just the software. It's just a software. So that holds your private keys. That holds your keys, right? So your wallet is just your cryptographic identities, which is literally basically your private key, right? So MetaMask is something that is just a software that holds that for you, that holds um the the in quote private key for you, right? And 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 so this is how it is, right? The anatomy of an Ethereum wallet is this. You have seed phrase, and then from this random seed phrase, right? Seed phrase are just random English words that you use to create a private key. And when you create that private key, from the private key you can derive your public key, and then you can derive your Ethereum wallet from it. And so in case of, we are going to look at this with MetaMask. So in when you're trying to register for MetaMask, right, you probably get some random keys, random phrase, seed phrase, in which once you get that random seed phrase, and then it's going to use it to create you a private key, which is going to keep for you. And so the MetaMask literally stores your private keys for you. And the private key is what is, and then your address, your public key, and then your Ethereum address is generated from your private key, right? So if anything happens to your account, you might need to remember your seed phrase, because that's what you're going to use to regenerate your private key. Nobody keeps that nobody keeps your seed phrase for you. It's your duty to do that, right? So let's keep going. So just to be clear, every layer is mathematically derived from the previous one. From your seed phrase, you derive the private key from the seed phrase. There are mathematical equations for this. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not going to go through that. If you are interested, you can do the research on your own and see what the formulas are. So now, example of seed phrase, like I said, they are just random words. They could be 12 words, 15 words, 18 words, 24 words, right? And they are human readable. They are literally they are usually human readable. For example, you can see apple, cats, planet, coffee, like different words of maybe 12, 15, 18, 24 words. And it can be and then it can, like I said, it can be used to regenerate your private keys. Like in case you misplace your private keys, these are the words you keep safe, and because these are the words that can be used to regenerate your private keys, right? And the question is, what's your private key? Your private key is what you use to generate your public keys and so subsequently your address. It is your cryptographic, your identity. Is your identity in the blockchain. For example, now when you are sending out crypto, like if for example you are sending 2 ETH to your friend, you have to sign it with your identity, which is that private key, and that your private key is what we use to determine, okay, this is coming from this source. And no, we are not going to look at your private key. No, we don't know your private key. What we use to determine is, we can, if we know your public key, which is everybody will probably with that has access to that transaction will probably have access to your public key. Then from your public key, we can decode that it was the private key that signed that transaction. So nobody has access to your private key, just you. We only know that this public key belongs to a certain private key that can that should have been the one to sign this transaction. That is the concept of how the blockchain and blockchain works, right? So it just proves that you are so when you sign a transaction with a private key, it proves that you are the owner of that transaction, so it's going to be executed if the public key matches that private key, right? So the thing is, never share your private key, right? So now public key, like I pointed out before, public key is derived from the private key, right? So you can share. Public key can be safely shared. They cannot be used to steal your funds, because private key is the main gist. Private key is what you keep safely. Is what can be used to transfer your funds, because if someone has access to your private key and is able to sign off the transaction with your private key, then your funds are gone. Public key is just used to know that, okay, this funds was signed by the private key that is equivalent to this public key that this public key was derived from. That is all, right? So you can literally share it and nothing happens, right? Now, Ethereum address, this is derived from your public key, like I showed there, and probably this is the one, you probably share this address all the time, and this is what people use to send you ETH. So that is basically it. Like you can see, you can share your address. Your Ethereum address is where people send your ETH to, say, okay, transfer ETH to this address, and then that address can be used to the public key can be derived. What do you call it? So that address is derived from a public key, and then the public key is derived from the private key. So it's literally going back to your private key, to that wallet that has that private key wallet, basically. So that is it, right? So now the complete relationship is, you have your seed phrase. Your seed phrase creates your private key, which is literally, that is, your private key is what we regard as your wallet, not the MetaMask, not the Binance. It's your private key. So your private key is now used to get your public key, and your public key is also used to get your Ethereum address. This is just one direction. Only one direction is possible. Is you can't reverse it the other way. You cannot use, for example, you get your public key, you want to use it to get the private key. That can happen. That's why it's just one directional, right? That is possible. So what can the private key do? So as the private key is the owner of the private key, proves that you are the owner of that wallet, of the wallet in question, right? So that means you can send ETH, and then you can deploy smart contracts. You can also call smart contracts, transfer NFT, right? So without the private key, you own nothing. So if you don't have the private, so if you don't have the private key of your private key, that means you don't have a wallet, basically. Because if someone is like someone that owns your private key owns your wallet, takes the money, can transfer it out to from that your private key to his own private key, which is secured, right? So now, where does MetaMask fit in this, right? Like I said, we'll try and download MetaMask, and and see how we can use MetaMask to further explain this before we switch to the code base, right? So like, where does MetaMask fit in this? So MetaMask just stores the seed phrase. So MetaMask is just basically a store. It stores your private key. So from your seed, it's going to give you seed phrase initially, and then from your seed phrase, you're going to get your private key, and then your private key is what you use to sign transactions. So MetaMask does not own your funds. It simply stores your key securely. So now MetaMask is a bit different from Binance in such a way that Binance actually owns this. Like, Binance keep your private key for you. Binance, so once you register in Binance, it does that under the hood, and it does the seed phrasing under the hood, and just keeps your and keeps your private key for you under the hood. The only thing it exposes to you is your what do you call it, is your address, which you share with people that wants to send you crypto to that address. That's the only thing. That's how Binance does. So Binance is kind of like a centralized bank, for example. It keeps all these private keys of its customer, while something like MetaMask doesn't keep it. MetaMask is just a software that helps you. You generate it, and then it is your responsibility to keep it, and whatever happens to it happens to it. It's your problem. If someone steals it, it's your problem. So if you cannot log in, if you log into MetaMask, you have access to it. But if you cannot log into MetaMask, then it's gone. It's gone. If someone has your login, they can take it. It's gone. So yeah, that is the relationship. That's the difference between that's where MetaMask and maybe Binance comes in and also differ, right? So for example, you can also export. So once you create, so like I said, it's a software that helps you create this private key. From it generates a seed phrase for you. You use it to create this private key. So once you can create this private key, you can export it, right? You don't need to store it in MetaMask. You can export it and keep it personally and safe. And you can also, with that private key, you can have access to the funds of that private key. You don't even need MetaMask for it. You can use any other software to have access to it, as long as you have your private key. So let's switch up. Let's switch to let's try and see if we can get MetaMask, right? So like, I did a Google search here, MetaMask. So I'm not going. You can download it on your mobile device. You can download it on whatever you want to download it. But I'm just going to add to Chrome, right? So let me add to this Chrome, because I want to actually add extension. All right, let's add extension to this Chrome. Okay, so because basically what I want to do is all right, that's been added. So now so this is it. I do have an existing wallet, but I'm not going to use my wallet, so that I won't be able to expose my private keys for you guys to see. So I want to create a new wallet and expose the private key, because I know I'm not going to use it for anything tangible, right? So yeah, let's create a new wallet and continue with what? Let's just continue with Google. Should we continue with Google? Do I even know this? Okay. So you can use your email address to create a new wallet. It doesn't matter, right? So while we are provisioning the wallets, okay, let me just use this Finclusion. Yeah, let's just use this. Is it sign out? verifies you. Okay. So I usually have some emails I might be using for what do you call it? There are emails I might be using for explanation like this. So let's see. Continue. So now you create your password. So I'm gonna confirm my password. So that's all. So just create password. You can, everywhere you go, turn it on, continue. I don't want to do that. Just open your wallet, right? So as you can see, now this is my wallet. I agree. So what this did for you earlier, right? So what this did for you earlier was it helped you provision your wallet for you. It gave you an account on your, it gave you what this is your address, it gave you your address. So let's see how can we get, so which you can send and then you receive. So you want to receive, you choose the network you want to receive. This is your address for Ethereum, right? We are working with Ethereum. So now let's see what how can we get our private keys, right? Let's see do I still remember how to get these private keys? So settings, security and password. Is it security and password? Let's do this. Privacy. You can delete MetaMask. You can export data. Export, no. Let's see, private key, security and password. Never. Okay, yeah, manage wallet recovery, right? So security and password, manage wallet recovery. Review. So this is your seed phrase. Guess. So now like I said, you are going to have access to your seed phrase, right? Get started. Review, secrecy, recovery phrase. So okay, can get it back for you. Can't help you. So they're going to give you some questions for you to know that if you lose your secret recovery phrase, MetaMask cannot help you because it is your wallet, it is your private key. MetaMask has no access to that, right? So you have to just know that they want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself to. So MetaMask can't help me. Then you continue. So no one can help you recover your secret. So just read it through. So now if anyone, even a support agent, asks you for your secret recovery phrase, you are being scammed. You just know that you are being scammed. So and then it gives a secret here. Gives your secret recovery phrase, give you full access to your wallet, funds and accounts. Make sure nobody's looking. These are the things that it gives you. So like I said, I'm not going to use this password for anything. So as you can see, this is your seed phrase, right? So you could want to screenshot this. Let me just screenshot it for this particular account, since I'm going to be using this for a lot to continue to teach, right? So I'm going to use this a lot to continue to teach. So I'm just screenshot that. Let me copy this just in case I might need it. So now let me see how to get my private keys from here. So I can literally use the seed phrase to there are softwares you go to, you use your seed phrase to generate your private key, right? But let's say this. Let's go back to settings, security, and manage wallets. So are they probably they're just giving you your show account one? Maybe they're just giving you access to your seed phrase because they know from your seed phrase you can generate your private keys, and then from your private keys you can get whatever things you need to get, right? So let me see, transaction, assets, backup and sync. No backup and sync yet. where can I get my, let me do, where can I get my, let me just quickly check it, how to recover. From, so now let's just do this, right? Let's just we can just Google it out, right? Which platform to generate my private key from my seed phrase, right? From my seed phrase. Yeah, let's check that out. How to generate your private key? Any tools? Do we have how to find private key from seed phrase? So Trusty Plus. So you be careful using most of these things, right? I wouldn't really recommend anyone enter your seed phrase prep to choose your cryptography, generate the private. Let's just check this one out, right? So you be careful. I'm not advertising anything here. So what is seed phrase? So you can, like I said, you can always do research on your own. You seed phrase, choose your cryptography associated with it. So which recovery phrase? So you can, let's see this spot. Okay, how to recover phrase. Okay, so I just want to what I'm trying to do here is to find a way to search private key mnemonics and brain wallet. Every Bitcoin Ethereum can be found here. Okay, let's paste our seed phrase here, which I copied, and let's check that out. So yeah, this is the seed phrase which I copied. This is for Bitcoin address. This is for Bitcoin, right? And let's check that out for Ethereum. Yeah, so how do we, so you can see I pasted this, our seed phrase in which we got, for example, if you still remember, we come here, show our wallet recovery, you know, we review, get started, again, can't help you, continue, you're being scammed, continue, and then the password, continue, then review. So you can see this seed phrase that I copied, they are copied to clipboard. So this is it, and that's what I pasted there. So let's see if what we are getting is true. Let's go back to our wallet address. So what is the address here? 713. So where is it? 713 HD wallets here. What we have here is Ethereum 713C0. 713C0. Do we have, yeah, 713C0. This is it. So now you know that from that seed phrase, this is what do you call it, your private key hex. This is your private key, because this is your the wallet. You can see that from that seed phrase you could have, you got your private key. This is the private key that we are using for this account, and that's the private key that you are sending. You are sending your Ethereum funds to. So you can compare them. It starts with 0x9769, 0x97697, and then a little bit in between, and then it ends with 71. You can see the 713C0 ends with 713C0. So this is the private key that we are using to generate. So you could see that from the mnemonics I pasted here and search, it used it to generate the possible private keys for you from that mnemonics, and that was the private, and then if you can compare this to your address, you can see that this is the private key that was used to generate the public key that was used to generate this address for you. I hope that's understood. So now Let's switch back to our code. So our code, we're going to put our private key here. Our private key makes that we, no, not this. Where's the private key? 7130. Let's just copy this private key here. Just copy this. So we put our private key there. So with this private key, hopefully I copied the right thing. Yeah, with this private key, we can derive our wallet address back, right? We can derive our wallet address back. So what we are doing here is, so when you sign, so basically when you sign a transaction with this private key, right? A person that has the public key can the public key to this you sign it, and then it's going to attach to it the public key, and then you can, with the public key, you can verify that this transaction was sent with the private key that matches this public key. You won't see the private key because you're not going to be able to, so that you won't take it and start creating transactions or transferring funds, but you can verify with the public key assigned to that transaction that, yeah, this transaction was signed by the private key that matches this public key. So now how do we get, so now we are going to, let's do this. So let's log these things here. So log dot print line the public key. So let's print the public key here, and then we are going to, and then again we're going to print the, is it .hex? Okay, we're going to see how we get to the address. At least we can see the address, and then we know what the address is. So now let's see this. But one thing, if you're wondering if we can get the public key from the private key, let's check this out. Let's check it out. Every Ethereum private key can be found here. Let's see, can we find which platform can generate my public key from my private key? Let's see. So this, you can do this on your system, but SSH to Mac, you can do run this, the private key files. I'm not going to do this. I just want something that you can visualize and generate and use SSH key, create a public key from your private key. Let's try this. So I just want something you can visualize, and I don't have to explain much. Do this, blah blah blah. I don't want to save this. Oh well, you can check how to generate public key from private key right on your own. That's so. Now I just want us to do this. Go run main.go. So if you do go run main.go, and let's see if from the private key we are gonna get, yeah, so from the private key, yeah, just forget this is printing the public key, is probably pointing to the public key. So now from the private key, you could see that this is the address that you came up with. This is the address you have. So let's compare the address. You can see the address that we have in our chain. This is the address, we copy our Ethereum address. And if we have that, then also do, let's do fmt, just do log dot print line, MetaMask, then let's print this, sorry, stringify this, let's print this, let's take this out first. So basically what you have here, you can see that you have your public key, yeah, which so from your public, so from your private key, you had your public key, you were able to get your public key here, but you're not going to, obviously it's going to be decoded, right? So or else anybody can just do it. So you're going to get your public key there, and then from your public key, you can actually get your address from it, so address from public key, right? So let's even log this. Let's see if this is the public key we are looking for. Public key, right? Let's do this, public key. So now let's clear this and let's run this back. Now, so now you can see, let's focus on, right? Sorry, let's remove this. So we can, like I said, you can go check, you have your seed phrase, you have your private key, you can use your private key and go check how to generate, there are materials on how to generate your public key from there. It's all over net. So now, but from the code, I'm just showing you from your private key, you can get your public key, and from your public key, from the code, you can now use this, or use this. Let's clear this. You can now use this to generate your what do you call it, private key. That's byte curve, yeah, byte curve value. Well, yeah, that is it. So there's a mathematical formula for this anyway. So but you can see from the code, let's clear this and let's run it again. From the code you can see that your wallet address in which you got this from your private key is literally the same as the one that was gotten on your MetaMask. So you can see how, so I was able to explain to you how you can get to MetaMask. You got your account and you exported, and you can export your seed phrase in this case, and from your seed phrase we're able to use our seed phrase to get the right private key, and from the private key we were able to get our address with code, with using our code, right? So I hope you followed through. I hope you enjoyed it. So from next video we'll start implementing a wallet, how to send transaction. Now knowing your private key and now having access to your private key, we'll start implementing how to send transaction. If this was helpful, please follow, like, share, comment, and just leave a comment. It motivates me to do more. Thank you very much.